Oh, I guess I need
Do the mic check and all that?
my mic in front of me.
I'm on 3.
3.
You're on 2.
Testing, and I'm on 4.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Oh, that's for the
Yeah. Microphone check, 1 2 1 2. Stop. Lock. Pop. Welcome to ATL Talks, Atlanta #1 streaming urban talk radio station, where you can tune in right here on atltalks.com or on our app located in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. You are tuned into Keeping It Real Politically. This is your host, Antonio Hicks, aka Escaping the Matrix, where we talk about all things news today. Back into the studio, we got Jersey and Mello to join in on our conversations. I'm trying to think. Our conversations about the news of today. Welcome back to the studio, guys.
Thanks, man. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hello, Atlanta.
And happy holidays for those that don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, like happy holidays to all, to whatever to all things you celebrate, whatever that may be.
Yeah, even if it's just breaking some bread, having good drinks.
Exactly. I salute the Thursday as just a universal day off.
I do too, because it's like,
that's it.
I mean, because it's actually kind of tied into the conversation we're going to have today too. So it's like,
I didn't think about that.
What am I really? Because I didn't think about it even till you said it just now. Like, what are we really celebrating?
It is funny. Like, yeah, you're right. We're going to dive into it, but like, my personal view is like, all right, it's basically a universal day off.
Yeah, because it's like, again, it's what are we really celebrating?
Yeah, it's my least favorite holiday. It really is. If you're rank them, it's probably on the bottom. It's like,
really?
It really is.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I mean, compared to like Christmas, like you put those two together, everyone has a favorite out of those.
I mean, I like Christmas, but if I think about what's some other holidays?
I mean, Halloween is like, that's a party one.
Yes, absolutely.
I think Halloween's underrated. My favorite is actually St. Patty's Day. Because there's no BS about it. Just like it really is. Like,
Yeah, trying to get lit.
There's no undertones.
No.
There's no like dual.
Yeah.
There's no like dual meaning. Here's a story with it. No. Everyone's Irish, wears some green, high five, drink a beer.
Yeah, everybody's, whether you Irish or not, we trying to just get
be
lit.
cool, everyone's Irish today.
Yeah, I don't know that I hate everything is commercialized.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even Christmas, like, all right, well, St. American's commercialized and it's like consumerism, or it's like giving gifts and being a good person, and it's just like, or is it the winter solstice? Was it really Jesus' birthday, or was it not?
Oh, it is. It really is the winter solstice.
Like all these holidays, even like I said, just Thanksgiving, we're talking about that. Like that has all these kind of very dubious roots.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it really about? Is it about just the family getting together, or is the family getting angry together? Or, like I say, it's a freaking Thursday off.
It was.
That's why. Like,
it was some anger. Anger on my part.
It should be the most like stress-free, but it isn't. Everyone just does it and just.
Yeah, especially when you travel for it and then things aren't ready when you get there.
The multiple Thanksgivings, they really should be like, all right, wake up, feel free to overindulge, take a nap, eat some more, take another nap, and go home or go to bed.
Right.
That's a good one. Never mind all the stressors of it.
What do you want, JD?
I might too.
But it is what it is. I guess it goes into what we're kind of talking about today.
It does go into what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So I guess we get started on our first discussion and talking about what is it, the Indian Child Welfare Act?
Yeah, indigenous peoples. It's.
Well, I guess Mel, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Let me see if you paid attention in history class. Do you know what the Indian Child Welfare Act is?
I don't. Honestly, I don't.
What do you think it is? Like, you just make a rough guess.
Well, I mean,
it says welfare, so I mean,
I'm like welfare, so I imagine it's just like reimbursing them for.
No.
I don't know. It's like, because what it's welfare is just like you pay people. Like the government gives you like stipends pretty much.
Yeah, like like SNAP. Yeah, but no.
So you don't go under. So I'm like, I imagine it's just that, but targeted towards indigenous peoples.
No, so it was, for those that don't know, or y'all didn't care, but now you're going to care today, It was passed in 1978 in response to compelling evidence of the high number of Indian children that were being removed from their families by the public and private agencies and placed in non-Indian families' households. Mm-hmm. And that's still actually taking place today, especially in black and brown communities.
Still happening.
Yeah.
Yep, still happening.
But at least they got policy pushed out to help them out.
It's just an overwhelming theme, right? And by the way, I'm glad this is a good discussion to have, and I am typical white guy. I'm going to pretend I know everything. I don't know anything.
you know enough.
But the thing is, like, this is the kind of thing we should know about because it's there are laws going in place, especially like in Texas and Florida, where they're like literally they're not allowed to teach this anymore.
Right.
Like,
so now you're talking about CRT, right?
Yeah. Like, they literally saying like you cannot talk about this anymore. It's
right.
Law. It's just a repeat oppression of of the indigenous people. That should be no secret, but somehow it is. But right now, this one is the Child Welfare Act, and the repercussions of this is taking away the tribe's sovereignty. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's going to boil down to. That's a big deal.
Yeah, because I mean, so the reason I'm bringing this up, so the state of Texas is calling the ICWA, saying it's unconstitutional racial preference, that it goes against the state autonomy. Meaning that because the law states the Indian child should be taken care of and adopted by Indian families, when they found out decades ago that wasn't the case, but now they're trying to bring into the issue that everybody should have access to get these kids, and it shouldn't just be going directly to the Indian families, which I find strange. It's like, why wouldn't you want a kid raised in the household that it comes from?
Yeah, this is a weird thing. There's a weird thing to have pushback on, right?
Yeah.
All right. So indigenous people, like they want to, like this is their children. Uh-huh. They want to adopt their own children. Like there's stories of like, all right, the grandmother wants to adopt the baby, the kid.
Right.
And it's taking years.
Yeah, it took her 6 years. Yeah.
6 years.
So it was an article.
Their own family member.
Yeah.
Never mind.
It was on MSNBC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, MSNBC. So it came up from what's his name, Ali? I think it's what his name is. Mm-hmm. Like I love to do. I'm sorry, I forget his name. But yeah, so he invited panelists or guests on, and she was talking about that. And yeah, like Jersey was saying, that they had 2 kids that were up for adoption, but they didn't want to take the kid's family into consideration. And the grandmother was still alive, and the aunts were still alive, and they wanted the kids, and the state was like, no.
We're going to give it to these white people.
Yeah, we're going to get to the white people. and then the grandma ended up getting custody of one of the kids, but it took her 6 years to get custody, but the other child is still with the white family.
And it's just like, all right, like, and this is a way more complicated thing. And, of course, what the most absurd thing, let's solve shows like this are great for these kind of discussions, and we're going to solve this in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm like, even and I hate to bring, right? Yeah, because I hate to bring race into it, but you are a white guy in the room.
I don't mind.
So it's, because I never understood, and of course you won't have an answer for it, but it's like, I never understood the idea of, like, even with black families.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's harder for black families to adopt, and I should know this because my cousin went through the process, adopt a kid than it is for white families, which I find weird to me because I'm like, why did you go out of your way to want to adopt the black children, like you don't have white children in there as well too, but you make it so hard to where you won't even allow black families to get black children, even if they want other children, but if they want black children, you make it hard for just a black family. And I said that my cousin went through this process. Him and my other cousin, his wife, they wanted to adopt kids because they were having a hard time they couldn't have their own initially. And so it was taking them years. Like, these are professors too. What? Like, these are, like, if you want to say the cream of the crop, they are the cream of the crop when it comes to a modern day black family, highly educated, multiple degrees. They both just got their doctorates. They were teaching at universities. They had great jobs. Huge house for the kids to grow up in. Stable household. Their dad, my uncle, he's ex-FBI agent. The mom, she's taught in Fulton County School District and held multiple jobs in the education. So this is the ideal family that you would want to see any kid going into.
Right.
I don't care if you're white, black.
You said one word. Black.
Yeah, right.
If you didn't say that, like, if you just had the outline of that, and all of a sudden, like, perfect, then they're black.
Nah. Literally took them forever to adopt some kids.
Did the clinic give, like, an excuse as to why it would take so long?
Unstable household, same old stuff.
But like where?
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah, it's like you don't have the evidence to even go. Then they have to do like when you have to go through that process, they have to do a walkthrough of your house. Now you've been to that house. It's like, I mean, the house is nice.
It's your cousin too.
Yeah, I was like, so it's like, why would that even be an issue to where and you have to imagine if they're having a problem. And again, you could say they're the criminal problem. Then people that don't even have that level of education and stuff, they're definitely having a problem.
It's the whole adoption process is absurd when you look at it. It just is racist. It just is. It's bigoted. And you have to be a white couple and you have to tick certain boxes over here. If you're any kind of minority, if you're a gay couple,
Yeah.
No, we can't have a family in a house. We need to keep this kid in an orphanage.
Yeah.
What?
Right. Yeah, because they have a hard time. They have a hard. Well, yeah, I just want to say any minority group, they have a hard time adopting children.
Yeah. You have to have the pristine white couple and go to church on Sundays and whatever it is. But like, if you're not that, then we'd rather have the kid in an orphanage. Like, no, wait. We have a list of people that raise their hands like we'll give them a home. Like that's got to be better than orphanage. It's absurd.
Yeah, and it's now you're trying to push this policy to say that the Constitution is overstepping its boundaries when it comes to states' rights to tell a child tell the state that any child that you want to bring into your household from a Native American everybody should have access to that child. And I'm like, that's just first of all, you've done enough to the Native Americans already, and now you're trying to take the children away from them too.
That's just it's not the first time. It's like the Native Americans thing is like these processes and just the history is horrific from the Trail of Tears to Old 45 bragging about Andrew Jackson in front of the code talkers,
right?
and
the violation of treaties,
and then starting doing racial slurs, just like oh god. So a lot of us haven't learned this. This is why I let off. We're talking about how like this is near against the law to talk about to teach in schools.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you're just have any kind of awareness, this history is absurd. It's awful. The Trail of Tears from Georgia and Alabama to Oklahoma. The history is rampant with this stuff. But the repercussions of this is what also is interesting is that they're trying. The results may be stripping away these Native American sovereignty, and that's a whole different ball of wax here. Because right now there is kind of understood where that's why Native Americans it's known where reservations you can grow weed, have casinos where normally would be able to. They are their own, almost like their own little country within the United States.
They are.
There's a lot of overlap there. And they're trying to take that away now. That's the end result of what these laws are concerning, and that's a problem.
Now, would you say? Now, Jaden and I was talking about it last night.
Mm-hmm.
I think that all the treaties that was violated and ended up being abolished because of, I have to say it, John. I'm not trying to be rude because you're the white guy here. Because white people tears.
Okay.
I think the land should be given back to them.
And that's the thing. Like there's been billions of dollars saying writing checks. I can't remember the tribe for the Black Hills. Black Hills goes from north of South Dakota to like Montana, and billions of dollars. I can't remember. I wish I would remember the tribe. And here's $1 billion. Here's a few $1 billion to your tribe. Sounds great. Okay. And they're like, no, we want the land back.
Yeah.
Man. And they're even being cool about it. Like that's where Mount Rushmore is, and like they're like, dude, keep Mount Rushmore, keep all these things. Like. Keep the post offices, anything that's there, cool. But the stuff that's on sale, we just want that back.
Yep.
And that's the right thing to do, right? And there is a precedent for that. I think it was actually Nixon ceded like 50,000 acres of land to a tribe. So it has been done before.
It can be done.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they have access. I mean, especially here in Georgia. Like that was one of the biggest things. When I say I know my state, I know my state. Because we had with the Cherokee Nation and other nations that was here, they held so much land up in North Georgia.
Cherokee, Seminole, and there's 2 others, yes.
And they were saying that because they had access to the fertile farming land, that they should have. But I'm like, the treaty was already signed, so they came in and violated the treaty, and enforced them all out Midwest.
Well, that's the thing. Even the Supreme Court. That's why we brought up Andrew Jackson. The Supreme Court said that it's their land. I'm trying nature biscuits, whatever it is we're going with. Ham biscuits. You gotta, that's their land. Like you gotta, leave them alone.
Yeah.
But Andrew Jackson said, "Don't care."
I don't care. Yeah.
And literally by bayonet, and said, march them, the Trail of Tears, to Oklahoma. And
Yep.
that's where Andrew Jackson, everything started with that. It really did. So you talk about the hero of Andrew Jackson, or some people are saying.
But we know who these some people are. Yeah.
He said that the law of the land was, it's their, this is their land. This is the tribal land. They were here first. It's theirs. The Supreme Court agreed with this, and the president at the time, Andrew Jackson, said, "Don't care," and sent him off to Oklahoma. And so it was their land, and now we have a matter of what we're going to do about it.
And then you fast forward to today, and you have the Keystone Pipeline. When
What?
she was out there fighting over the Keystone Pipe, you know what the Keystone Pipeline is, right?
Yeah,
You-
the oil.
Yeah, I'm like, you've heard me vent about that enough.
Yeah.
And then watch the news on it.
Because didn't it like broke?
Yes, they said it wouldn't break. Yeah,
It's still-
yeah. We're out here protesting because we don't want you running an oil line from Canada all the way down through our land to down to the Gulf, and then tell us that, oh, well, it's not going to burst because we have the best of the best. I'm gonna use 45s. We have the best of the best technology, and it'll never burst. And then what happened? Like, first of all, you gassing us down, you shooting us with water hose, tasing the hell out of us, beating us, arresting us because we don't want you polluting our water. Our watering system, the stream and the river is comes through our tribe that we use to drink from, and we telling you, no, we don't want you running any chemicals or anything over our water. And you're like, no, we're going to do this because we want that money. And then what happens?
Everything they were afraid of.
Yeah, it happens.
It's just amazing the cycle is, it's continuing to this day. The Trail of Tears, as they were talking about, that was history. No, just prime example. That happens today.
Right.
And what do we do about it? Like you're saying, give the land back. That seems like the only option, really.
I think when it comes down to the natives that was here first,
Right.
I think it's only right. Because again, Jed and I was talking about it last night. Y'all need to make sure y'all talk to y'all kids about history. Don't just leave it up to the school to talk to you. Make sure you talk to your kids if you have kids, or if you have nieces and nephews that you helping raise. Tell them about important things of the past. Because if you can't go anywhere in the future if you don't know your past.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about last night, and I'm like, okay, I get that. You can't claim stake to all the land here in the U.S. But wherever there was treaties established with the land that you owned and it was breached and it was taken away from you, I think all the land should be given back. I don't care what sits on it. I don't care if it's a small city. I don't care if it's part of the city of Atlanta. They should be given back to them.
And the funny thing is, you're saying, what treaty? All the treaties.
They all been broke. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They all been broke.
And that was kind of recent where Oklahoma kind of recognized, because Oklahoma almost over half of it's a reservation. And so that was recent where they said, all right, this is your stuff, your land.
And we still do them terrible on their own reservation.
Yeah.
They have high crime on there, not from their own people. You have some crime with their own people, but they still have people coming in from outside. Did I talk to you about this? Like, they have people coming in, raping their people, kidnapping some of the Native Americans that's in there, pumping drugs into the community.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
We haven't talked extensively about it. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
It's all really impoverished because, again, it scaled down to not just the good land. What defined good land at the time? It was agriculture.
Right.
And then then it was like, all right, we found gold here. Yeah, keep going.
Yep.
That's like the Black Hills in North South Dakota, the one I was talking about before. Oh, it's a mining thing. Oh yeah, now you got to move here. Keep on going to downgrade, and we all modern day society, Americans don't realize that where you're living is actually good land.
Right.
Right? Like right now in my apartment, whatever it is, that's in a good plant. That's where it is. Whereas the Native Americans are on the worst possible land, rock. It's completely desolate. It's basically a desert, the Dust Bowl. Trying to just get water, like you're talking about. There are places, just get water to their community is a big issue. Never mind healthcare and everything else. It's totally impoverished. And like you said, I think you're right as far as what is the right way to go? We can't just buy them off, and we're trying to do that with a big check.
And that's why I don't have beef with you talking about Mexicans coming across the border, because the same thing was done to them in California, in Southern California, and in New Mexico, because you had the big gold rush. Again, I hope you paid attention in history class. You had the big gold rush, and when they came in, they were killing them, running them off the land, just so they can go in there and mine gold.
San Francisco 49ers. That's what they're named after.
Yeah, it's-
and that is just there's endless examples from even Alaska with the Inuit, which
Yep.
where like same Eskimo, which is not really a good way to say it, and just like this is there's oil here.
Yeah.
This land.
We have oil deposits. Yep.
Like,
Yep. Yeah, what is that oil called? Because it's in the sand, and they have to do fracking to port it.
Tar pits is the wrong word. I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Tar pits is the wrong word, but it's again it's this land is worth something. So guys that look like me, like oil's mine now. It just the history it's rampant with it, so just the way it is. It's just reality. Again, I've got two guys looking at me. I'm the white guy in the room. I didn't do it.
No, you didn't. I don't hold.
But the idea is like this has happened. It's just
Yeah.
reality. No, we're talking about the anti-woke law in Florida. We have to be able to teach these things. Understand this is just happening.
I think history. I don't understand the resistance on the truth, because you want the truth when it comes to a Confederate flag,
Yeah.
because you said people don't know the truth about that, and it wasn't just about slavery, which it really was.
Yeah.
But you don't want history, the whole truth taught when it comes to everything else, because you say you don't want your kid to feel like they're isolated and they did something wrong. I was like, nobody's pointing the finger at you and said just because you're a white kid that you got to bear the burdens of your forefathers. No, I just want you to know how crazy some of your forefathers were. You ain't even related to them. Because
Right.
there's other thing too. My family owned slaves. They came here from off a shipping boat. Okay, that's awesome, but we're not talking about you in that aspect. And I'm sure they had slavery where you came from too. I'm like, so no, I'm not talking to you. We're talking about the folks that were over here. And the folks that was out beating the hell out of slaves that didn't own slaves and was killing them because they didn't own slaves, as opposed to beating out the land, the actual owners, because if they couldn't get crops and they didn't have access to the goods, it wasn't the slaves' fault. It was the owner's fault. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing as today. We talk about immigrants coming over here, illegal immigrants coming over here. But I'm like, isn't it supply and demand?
Taking our jobs.
Yeah, so you're mad at the people coming over here doing the work, but you're not mad at the person that's causing the demand for those people that want to pay low wages. You don't get mad at the owners. You're mad at the people.
Right. I mean, these guys are just looking for a sandwich.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't get mad at that. I mean, the problem is big. It's all encompassing, but I find it horrific the way governor and just it's human trafficking.
Yeah, it is human trafficking.
He took them and just blindly stole a bunch of people and deposited them up in New England.
Yeah, on an island.
Yeah,
just drop them
without
off.
telling them, without any against their will. Told them he was going to do something X and gave him and did Z.
And face no consequences for it.
And that's it's human trafficking. It's horrific. All these things. We just have to like we said, just understand this is what happened. And learn from it and be like, all right, let's not do that again, but we're still doing it.
Yeah. And
because it's like I've had the conversation about the history thing before, where it's like it doesn't make sense they were omitting this from schools, and I hate the framing of it, where it's like people will refer say Black history and the slave part of it, and it's like they refer to that as if it's a separate thing. But I'm like, I've gone through my history classes and you just teach it's a normal thing that happened.
Yeah.
And there's no victim at the other end of it.
No.
In a majority white classroom for my American history, we didn't make it all the way up to the natives and all that in my U.S. history class. But even going through the slavery part, it's like we talked through all of slavery and no one felt victimized by the end of it, because it's just an event that happened with people that happened to be there.
But you had a woke teacher.
Well, but that's the thing.
You did have a woke teacher.
But the framing of it is not that, though. We just go through it it's because I don't understand the whole distinction between it's Black history. It's everyone's history.
Yeah, it can't be. You can't have Black history without having white history.
That's what I'm like.
History is history.
It's just whatever happened. Whoever happened to be there happened to be there.
Right.
Just tell it how it is. Then that's just what happened. That's just how it is.
Right.
It's amazing the reticence though. I remember going to Memphis, which is underrated city. Great museum. That's where Martin Luther King Museum is. It's a great museum is. But I was in a bar just having a beer, and I was talking to someone who did tours for the plantations. It's a historical tour.
Mm-hmm.
And he said twice a week, you got someone that looks like me saying, we, luckily, they did good on those slaves. You're talking about to read and improve their lives and blah 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 blah.
Tell them how to read.
Really?
Couldn't you die if you was caught reading and having any form of intelligence?
Yeah. And I'm like, they improved their lives. It's better than what they had, and blah 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 blah. And it uplifted them, and it's like. That's hate today. They're still talking about it.
I hate the ignorance of that, because that's the stuff like Ben Shapiro and some of the other guys say. oh, well, it wasn't as bad because this person was taking care of you and they was feeding you. I was like, feeding me? I'm sorry, I'm the one working the land.
Right.
I'm the one out here tilling the soil. I'm the one out here picking the crops. I'm the one out here putting the seeds down in the right season, making sure that the ground actually stays fertile. So if I'm doing it, and should I not be able to eat from some of the stuff that I'm sitting here growing? Like, how is it a benefit to me?
Like, thank God you taught me how to read. Let me go get lashed 3 hours later.
Right. And then it was illegal for you to even have a book. If you got caught with a book, you got whipped.
Yeah. It's like, again, it's amazing. Just like Southeast Georgia, McIntosh County, where the sheriff's system was so oppressive that people of color did not even know they had the right to vote until the 80s.
Yeah.
That is absurd. And it's just reality. That's just like all what it is.
Because you had a school board now, I saw it today in South Carolina. They voted off one of the first black superintendent they had for the school, and they're talking about because he was going to teach CRT, and I said, first of all, he ain't teaching a goddamn thing. I was like, he's not teaching nothing. So to even say that he's going to be teaching it is asinine, because he had only been there for 2 days.
Right.
So I was like, the man hadn't even had time to even serve in his job, and just because y'all now have come in, and now you've overtaken the school board, now you vote him out. I'm like, dude ain't even been in his job for 2 days to even do anything.
It's so repetitive, and that's why, like, I'm kind of, I put a little pushback when people say woke, but I'm not sure what that means. I still don't, because it's
progressive.
Yeah,
But even still, what is it?
Only more conservatives say woke more than anyone else.
Yeah.
I think it's just a lot of it, like when they say woke, it's just reality.
Yeah.
Well,
I asked you this: what does it mean to be progressive?
Like, just have left-facing views.
But what does that mean? But I mean, seriously, like, what does it mean to you?
To me, it means like open-mindedness. It's embracing changes that are happening in society as opposed to taking it like don't take the traditional route. You can't like fight everything that happens. Because I see it a lot come up against like like LGBTQ laws, like CRT. It's just teaching history. It's like when you're just talking about things as they actually are and admitting that these things do exist, that's considered woke. It's just being open-minded to changes that are happening.
And see, I have a problem with that before you get started when it comes to like the titles itself. So I'm like, why do you need a title for something that we should be doing naturally? Like, shouldn't everybody have access to health insurance? Yeah. Should not everybody nobody should be discriminated against, right? So, I'm like, so why is it that
sounds sweet.
You're right. I mean, should we not have access to equal wages? I mean, should not everybody have jobs to livable wages? I mean, access to livable wages? I mean, should we not be able to reap some of this whole American dream to where we can create a thriving business and have some form of prosperity like other people can? I'm like, why does that mean because you want the same rights as the people on, I guess, so-called the right, that you're woke? I'm like, that should just be natural. If you would call yourself in America, the greatest country in the world that we portray ourselves to be, why is it because you want the same thing for everybody in this country equally, you have to get a title of being woke or progressive?
Well, that's why I kind of lean towards the fact that I'm not certain what woke means. I feel like what you said with progressive is very solid, but woke, like, I think is overtaken by very conservative culture. I never hear like I definitely swing on the liberal side of things, but all my friends, I've never heard the word woke.
Yeah.
Ever. The only time I ever hear is from conservatives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't know what it means. And to me, from what I can tell is whenever they say, this woke person is like, what'd they say?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's reality. It's not crazy. It's like, all right, like Aaron Rodgers and like, this woke culture, I got him, I was like, no, you lied. You're supposed to take the shot. Like, that's just science. Or, like the bathroom law, like, I'm pro, who cares where someone takes a dump? Like, I didn't give a rat's ass about that. But like, that I'm being woke because of that. Like, I just don't care. But it's all on the one side that says woke.
I first heard the word come up in like not that context, and it was people who had like left-leaning ideology it was a bit, it was like a meme.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just came up in the context of like, oh, your third eye is open because you're seeing the truth of just really obvious stuff. Right. But then conservatives hear it, and then they harp on it, and now it's a derogatory term that doesn't mean anything. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
And they circle around to it. Like, there was Candace Cameron Bure. She was like a Hallmark actress, whatever it is, and she says, I refuse to work for Hallmark anymore because they do inclusive marriages. I'm only for traditional marriage. And so, like, okay, like, so you say that's fine, and someone called her out, like, well, so that's kind of bigoted against gay marriage.
Yeah.
It is. And it is.
Yeah.
And then what's the response? Oh, you're just that's just woke. I'm here with the love of my heart. Like, that's They
But-
use the woke. It's like, what kind of 180 BS is that?
Yeah, and that's the one thing, because
I'm not a hater. You know.
I'm like, why do you care so much about something that has no effect on your own life?
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you have so much energy? Like, even if you start talking about CRT, it has no effect on you. It's not going to do any harm, physical harm to you. It's a book that can be looked at online. So even if you ban it in the school, it still can be found on, which there is no curriculum on it. But if you want to learn about history, you can find it on YouTube. You can find all kind of books on the history of the U.S. So, and I'm like, the library is free. So I was like, so like, if a kid is curious enough, they can go to the library and find out themselves.
It's like I love like banned books where it's like you put so much attention on this book now. It's like, oh, it's bad. Don't teach your kids this because it's teaching them bad things. Now I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go find it.
Yeah.
PDF. Like, why is it banned?
Right. And
Go ahead.
no, so that's my thing. I'm like, why? Then you're talking about, okay, well, I believe in a traditional marriage. Okay, well, you can believe in a traditional marriage. I mean, who the hell cares if you believe in a traditional marriage? That's your own personal beliefs. But if I don't believe in that, or I want to love who I want to love, why the hell does that bother you? Why does it matter what I'm doing in my bedroom? Why does it matter to you? Because I'm like, I hope you got some freakiness going on in your bedroom, keep some spice in your life. Why does it matter what I'm doing in my own home, in my own personal life, that you should be worried about your own and how your marriage and stuff is going?
The word. It just drives me nuts. Like, I don't care where you take it down.
No.
Or who's in your bedroom. Who's
No.
married. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
No,
And but apparently I'm woke.
Yeah, because you don't care.
I don't give a rat's ass, and I'm the woke one. What?
And it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like when they had the law that was against interracial marriages, I'm like, why do you care who the other person marries? I'm like, who? Why? Like, if it's not you, I'm like, love is love, right?
It's still a problem.
But then what kills me too, though, because this don't affect you. It's like, but then you call yourself like the bench. I'm a Catholic. You're part of the Christian faith. So you're a part of the Bible Belt, and the Bible people, but you don't believe in none of the words in the Bible.
No, well, that's the best example of an expert of the Bible is ask your atheist. They'll tell the Christians what the Bible actually says.
Right.
But
they skip over those.
They've actually read the Bible.
They skip over those scriptures.
It's absurd. It's like the anti-woke culture, wherever it is. And just it's about understanding reality. Like CRT, from what I can tell, is not a real thing. It's just acknowledgement. Oh yeah, like there was some racist policies, racist history. That's acknowledging. Mm-hmm. Now we can't, like, literally, it's illegal to talk about Rosa Parks now.
Yeah.
In certain states.
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson, can't talk about him anymore. Like,
I've heard a thing about it once because it was like an interesting question. Where it's just why do you have to bring that into legislation? Like, why does the law need to understand anything about, like, say, like women's bodies and abortion? That shouldn't even be a context in like a legal sense, because what does that affect anyone else other than the women themselves? Again,
right.
It's like it does, as long as it doesn't ever hit that point, it doesn't need to be a thing that's worried about because it's not affecting those people. Legislation doesn't have to bother with like CRT. It's just history.
Right.
Just tell it how it is.
But again, the funny thing is they're so afraid of being offended by reality and offending other white folks. But we're the snowflakes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like,
What?
Yeah, that's the stuff that really pisses me off. And then they call you as being woke because I'm like, because I care about people. Because that's the one thing I always ask when we get on politics. It's like, okay, what is your policy? Like, what do you see for the American people in general? Like, okay, let's say you want to keep CRT out of schools. Okay, cool. What do you want to teach? Like, what do you see those kids going while they're in school? Like, what policies are you pushing out to make sure that when they come out, they have access to education? Because I'm like, you want people to educate, right? But I'm like, I don't see any of those things.
No.
And other people don't even ask the questions.
It's just, like I said, just understanding. It's a fight for reality. That's all it is. Like, to me, like, whenever, like I said before, like when someone says, oh, that person's woke, like, well, what'd he say? Like, well, that guy got fired because he was black. Like, well, that's woke. That happened.
Yeah.
Like what was the city manager of Charlottesville that got fired. Charlottesville, like, with that horrific incident a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Got fired. Got fired because the entire police force walked out. Why?
Yeah.
Because she was black.
Yep. She got removed?
I think she got that happened first. Like the she went in the job like a week or two.
And then they turned around and voted the sheriff back in.
And the entire police force just quit.
Yeah.
Because there really was. I tried to find an explanation for it. It was because she was black.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was Charlottesville, when all those racist KKK guys were burning crosses a couple years ago. What are you doing? Like that just again.
And then when you say race, y'all say everybody racist. I was like, well, I'm sorry. I have to call a horse and a spade. If you have a pretty much all white police force, and you have your very first black mayor that goes into office, and then you turn around and everybody quits except the sheriff. Everybody quits. Then what's the reason? So what? Because they did say something about her.
It wasn't even a year later.
They
like
said
a week or two.
No,
later.
what they said they didn't like her standpoints on issues. I was like, she ain't been in office for she ain't barely been in office for 2 days.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a week and they quit.
Yeah.
Come on, again, that's woke, right? That's just all it is, acceptance for reality.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to. Most of these things I don't care. I don't want to talk about this crap.
Right. They just bring it up like the sheriff that was over there was talking bad about his deputies, black deputies, and was like, I know the black supported her and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And so he got caught on a hot mic and he said it. And then he repeated it back when they asked him about it. So then he got pushed out of office and then turned around and voted him back in. That's when I get frustrated because I'm like, okay, what do you do now? Like if these people are being protected, it's like, okay, what do you do?
It's an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
And the horrifying part of this is that a lot of these folks, whether it be sheriffs or police officers, people wearing badges, or people in city council or elected office, getting caught in the hot mics, and the new tack is, yep, don't care, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Like, and that's getting scary.
Like the ones in California, they weren't even white, they was Mexican.
Yeah.
And they was talking about black people. I don't know if you heard. Yeah. So they had a situation. They had some city councilmen that was in California. I forget what town in California. But they pretty much doing what other Republicans, they weren't Republicans, though, they're Democrats, which is weird, they're Democrats too. They were doing what Republicans were doing when it comes to like gerrymandering. So what they wanted to do was pump the population up with more Latinx people to oversaturate the market to where they can push whatever policy they want to have within a community and drown out the woke black people, the monkeys that was over there. So they got caught on hot mic saying this, and they was all laughing and joking about it. One of the city councilmen, the other councilman, who was a white guy with an adopted black kid, was talking about he's treating his kid like, so they said he's treating his kid like a monkey, letting him monkey around, do all kind of stuff. And so the main woman that did it, you know, she got forced out because she ended up stepping down. But the one other guy, he was like, yeah, I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah, there was, that's right, there was like 3 people. And like one decided not to run, like I think 2 of them just, like, it just so happened, like 2 of the 3 were like, all right, my term's ending, I'm just not going to run again.
Right.
Or I was retired, already announced his retirement beforehand. And the 3rd guy was like, well, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Like,
we're going to learn from our mistakes.
The 2 people that left were leaving anyways.
Yeah.
So the third guy was like, I'm not leaving, I don't care. Like, that's just, again, it's about accepting reality. It's absurd that we're talking about this. No one, the 3 people in this room don't want to talk about this crap.
No, I already told you, I'm ready to move on past it.
Yeah.
I am ready. I'm a science nerd. I'm ready for the next stage of human evolution. Yeah. I want to know what it means to colonize other planets and pollute it the way we pollute our own Earth. I want to know what it means to travel to stars. I want to know what it means for advanced AI, have advanced robotics, to have them integrated within our state. I want all those things to take place as opposed to worried about people's religion, what kind of what they practice, how they dress, if they got a hijab on, whether they don't have a hijab on, and you killing them because they don't have a hijab on the right way. All those things, or what their skin tone is, or how much money they have in their bank account. All those things I want taken away, and let's worry about where we're going as a species. We got 8 billion people on this planet now. We up to 8 billion people on this planet.
I'm with you. It's like all these things we're talking about right now. It's like, it feels like it's such a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because I'm from the South. I hate talking about racism, and I experienced it. I hate talking about it. I'm ready to move on past that, and I want to move on past that.
Yeah.
I want to move on past it, but you make it hard because you keep pointing out the fact that I'm black. I'm like, I want to move on past the fact that I'm black. I want to look at something else, but you keep pointing it out to me.
Keep getting pulled over, huh?
Yeah, right.
I remember I was sitting on my reels once and I saw this like thing that was supposed to be like a motivational poster about like, how do you get rid of racism? Just stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, well,
it's
gotta stop happening before I can just shove about it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if you stop antagonizing me, just let me live my freaking life.
Right.
Then I won't have anything to say. We can stop. Full stop.
Stop making policy that affect me.
Yeah.
Right. Stop biting me.
I mean, it's just it's rampant. It's incessant. It's like what is the main the path to wealth right now? It's like, all right, stock market and buying selling homes.
You can't even do that anymore.
Yeah. We're gonna move on to that part. But the point I was gonna go to was like, all right, you buy a house, like if you, Antonio, were gonna sell your house, it'd be better for me to show it.
Yeah.
It's a 40% drop in value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, even the path to wealth is like, and that's across the country. It doesn't matter where you are. It's a 40% drop in. You get an appraiser, and it's $300,000 if I'm there.
Yeah.
It's $210,000 if you're there.
Yep.
That's it.
So people been having
Same
their white friends come over to be there when the appraiser comes through. Like, it's a real thing when the appraiser comes through. And even the same thing when it comes to, like, and we're going to get on Musk and free speech, that when it comes to like interest rates when you want to buy a car.
Oh, yeah.
The black person coming, you can have excellent credit, but you still get a higher interest rate than your white brothers and sisters to come in there and get a car.
Just reality, you know. Man, Dave Chappelle was right, man. When there is a white guy bank.
Yeah. So now we're talking about freedom of speech. So, because I mean, it's kind of what was kind of talking about anyway. So now you're talking about Musk and the evolution of Twitter and where Twitter might be going.
I think it's dying.
I do too, but I don't believe the rumor that he's sitting there trying to spread, not talking about Apple's going to take it off to Apple App Store. And I'm like, cap. For those who mean cap means lie. I'm like, because why would they take Twitter off the App Store, but you got Truth Social? Like, I was talking to my Discord about that. I'm like, if Truth Social is still on the App Store, and they say all kind of, I mean, you got 45 on there, all kind of derogatory stuff. Why would they all of a sudden take Twitter off? Yeah, I mean, they don't invest in the company anymore, but I don't have to invest in your company if I don't agree with the platform.
That's the whole thing is interesting. Because I think he got called out, like. They basically forced him to buy it, right? He was like, I didn't want. I was just a joke. No, you're being a dick, and you made X amount of promises. So now you have to give us money, and now you own this thing. It's like, oh god, and now he's become awful. Like obviously one of the worst people in the world. Like, of course, you have the richest man in the world. Like, I could feed every person in the country, or I can just do this.
And people are figuring out now that he's not really a genius.
No, yeah, he's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
And so it goes to a couple different things. Like when it comes to, we're talking about free speech, though. We can talk about how Elon's an idiot.
Oh, he's very much always an idiot. He is an idiot.
But I think the higher thing, the question is, what is free speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a more important argument. Like what is, what is the value of social media, would be Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and the power they have when it comes to free speech? So you're allowed to say anything you want? No.
What?
That's not a thing. It never has been either.
I disagree with you on that. I think you should be allowed to say whatever you want, but you have to accept the consequences that come along with that. So there is a thing as free speech, and you can say whatever you want to say, but if it violates my TOS, my terms of service, well then you can take your free speech somewhere else because you violated my policy.
So I feel like free speech has always had like limits on it, no matter where you go. Because
it
seems like you can't say like bomb in an airport, because people are going to freak out and it's going to incite panic.
Right.
You can't say certain things in certain areas because it's not the place for it. I think social media, it's like if they want to establish their own rules, then you have to follow them. Right.
So I mean, you have the right to say it, but you have the right to accept those consequences that come along with you saying it. Well, that's my thing. I'm like, there is a thing as free speech, but you can't get mad because I'm enforcing something that you're doing within my business guidelines, its area, within its boundaries. Because I'm like, if you're on my social media platform and then you're violating my TOS that you signed up for when you came in here, because nobody reads them, you signed up for when you came on here, how can you now turn around and say, well, I'm violating your free speech? I'm sorry, no. If you go back and read, that 10-page document, it has clear guidelines of what's allowed on this platform and what's not allowed on this platform.
I mean, that's a good tool, but like I still stand by, like, this has always been the case.
Uh-huh.
There is an FCC. I grew up in the age of Howard Stern. That was always a fight. Like, he couldn't say anything he wanted on air. Like, when you're broadcasting, you're not allowed to do. You're specifically not allowed to say a lot of things.
Right.
George Carlin, 7 Dirty Words. There's always been limits. There's never been a free for all. Never mind. You don't even need the terms of service. I'm not even talking about that.
Yeah.
Which is a good tool.
Yeah.
I think it's a good understanding, but there's always been limits. I remember as a joke, I still remember this, was like 20 years ago, where radio station, morning zoo type of thing, and they warned everyone about, careful, there's some dihydrogen monoxide coming out of the faucets. Right? And like they got fined, all these things, but you can't say anything that might be considered dangerous
Mhm.
on air. And this was decades ago. This has always been a thing. Now, like, you have the right to say what you want, but if you can't, that's why, like, the whole, like, there's got to be a check on reality. Like, for example, the immunizations. You know, when you're getting your shots, like,
Mhm.
you can't say false things that's a danger of public health.
Mhm.
That is a specific thing you can't do, right? Now, that's never, you don't even need terms of service for that. You're not allowed to do it.
Right.
But that's what Elon and 45 are fighting for. They want the right to say whatever they want,
Yeah.
no matter how damaging it is. And that
Yeah.
has always been a limit.
Yeah, and I'm like, but then, even doing that, but then why do you expect me to advertise on your platform? Because if I don't agree with the way your platform is going right now, then I'm going to pull my money away. Then why get mad at me because I decided to pull my money away?
That I agree with. Like, that's the fight where, like, what was the girl's name that was in The Mandalorian that got fired because she said that anti-Semitic thing?
Yeah, I know you're talking about,
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
And I loved her character too.
I loved her, and actually, she has good movies. I actually
Yeah.
liked her, and then she said that, like, and she got fired from The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Well, that's the consequence.
Yeah.
It's not being woke.
No.
It's not, it's not even in terms of service. Like, she lost her job and she said something really stupid. It's an idiot test.
Yeah.
I call it the white guy idiot test.
No.
John Gruden and his emails, right? Where, like, he had all these ridiculous emails. Like, well, I know better than text that. He didn't get fired for being a racist, like a sexist, racist, awful bigot. He got fired for being an idiot. Like,
And then, I don't know where he wants to go because I mean he's restored everybody's banned right now. 45 is the only one that really hadn't came back and started tweeting again.
Because he can't.
Why can't he?
Because he's got True Social.
What else? Oh well, yeah, he can.
So like both Elon and Trump are in a weird place where, all right, you're welcome back in, and 45 can't go back because he's got this other business deal like with investors.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
And
Yeah.
so weird, like they're in a conundrum, and now like so Elon has opened the door for 45 to come back. This was one of his goals. Like it's wrong that he got banned.
Yeah.
But and 45 has been complaining about it. Now he's allowed back in.
But he can't.
But he can't go back in because of investors.
Because you were taking money away from Truth Social. Yeah.
Everyone's taking a bite of this sandwich.
Yeah.
It's awesome. That's the best. That's one of my favorite parts about this whole thing.
And that's because you already had who was it? Kanye came back.
Yeah, he tweeted like a testing, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then MJT, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she already came back and started, touting her crap all over again. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, you don't have nothing else to do.
It's it's. I'm
But they did restore Kathy Lee Griffith. I was happy about that. Now she is crazy as hell. But I'm like, hey, if you're gonna restore everybody, I like her. Restore her back too.
She's a wackadoo. I mean,
Yeah, she very much so is.
But again, there's a difference between freedom of speech and freedom of amplification. Like you can't there is a reason why hate speech is bad because it does incite violence. January 5th happened because there was a bullhorn called with Twitter.
January 6th.
January 6th. I'm sorry. Yeah, January 6th. There was a bullhorn on Twitter and Facebook. That's why that happened.
But
without that bullhorn, that doesn't happen. That's violence. That's a direct cause and effect. And without that bullhorn.
But here's my frustration with that. I'm like, if you want to say those things, well then why don't you go ahead and build your own platform? I mean, because when blogs first became a thing and people was making money off of blogs, they were doing it off their website. Why don't you just whatever platform, whatever voice you want to have, just do it on your own web? Why do you have to come to another company and get pissed off at them because they want to kick you out of there, kick you off, when you can have that whatever you want to have and say whatever you want to say on your website without nobody governing you at all?
Go ahead.
Because I'm like it's a weird thing to me because I feel like just the discussion around it, people kind of, it's like just because you're capable of saying something doesn't mean that you're just gonna be by default allowed to say it. And it's like I don't understand why go to Twitter and cause all this like fuss.
Yeah.
When it's like people are having I just recently started getting into Twitter because I was like, oh well, my other socials or whatever, Twitter's kind of fun because I've catered mine to not be like a bunch of crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, I kind of like this, and now he's ruining it. I'm like, you're ruining the fun for people.
Oh
who
yeah, it's
aren't
going away.
causing problems.
Yeah.
So like, what's the point of that? It's like just make your own, like Truth Social exists. Go there.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, and of course, that whole argument. Oh, I'm gonna build my own social media. But I'm like, it's not that easy. I was like, it takes nerds to do that. Y'all hate nerds, but it takes nerds to do it, and you're not a nerd. So it's you found you found a real quick. It takes a lot of knowledge to build a social media platform, and you got to know how to manage the servers and stuff when you have traffic overload, a bunch of nerdy stuff that you don't have access to and privy information to. So I'm like, but still. You can't do it on Wix because Wix still have to comply towards certain guidelines themselves too. But you still can set up your own website on your own server at your own house. You might want to increase your bandwidth because if you start getting popular, people will come in and clog you down. But you can do that.
Joe Rogan.
Yes, but now he's huge on Spotify and all other streaming platforms.
Sure. And you cash a $100 million check.
Yes, I would too.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say no. I would not say no.
It would be. It's amazing the list of things I would do for that.
Yes. And all y'all listening in, make sure you represent PTG TV because we want to be just like Joe Rogan and one of Jaden and our favorite Distractible podcast with Markiplier, Wade, and Bob.
But and so there is we're talking about a couple different things. You're talking about terms of service.
Yes.
That's a company. That's one argument. But that's more of a company relationship.
Yeah.
Versus the availability. Is it right? Like I said before, if we're to incite violence. I don't. That's always been terms of service can be thrown out the window. You can't do that. You can't cause a public harm.
No.
Right?
But that's why you have 4chan.
So there are. That's what I mean. There are limits. You can't just say whatever you want.
Right.
It's dangerous to have all these horrific, violent people come together on in an echo chamber, crazies, and decide let's get together and take stuff over with our guns.
But you can.
That's a problem. So there are limits, and it's a dangerous discussion. I definitely accept that, but I'm just saying there are limits, and it's tough to define what those limits should be.
But you can still have it on your own platform. They'll find a publicly traded company because they have to adhere to those FCC. So that's how you get your TOS too. Mm-hmm. It's coming based off of federal laws. So you gear all that off of federal laws and then what your advertisers want to because you got to make money. Right. But if it's your own personal platform, that's why they had a problem with 4chan. So and you know what 4chan is, right? Yeah. So do you know what 4chan is?
I think so. Yes, he's. Go ahead.
No, it's a website.
Okay.
So it's like a.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
It's like a blog. It's like the Reddits of Reddits before it was Reddits.
Right.
So it's like the not even short text because you can type long. Anyway, it's like a blogging website. I can't even. A chat forum.
Yeah.
But you can literally say whatever you want to say on that chat forum without any consequence. Now you might have the FBI watching you, but they can't do anything to you because you haven't done anything. It's just all talk, unless you threaten the president. Because
I've seen recipes we put on there where it's like mixing ammonia gas in your toilet, and it's like you can't say that anywhere else. But 4chan.
Oh yeah, you can say sky's the limit. Yeah, the sky's the limit of 4chan. They've only caught a couple of people when they actually made threats towards sitting elected officials. Right. That's when they went after them. Outside of that, you can get close to talking about how you gonna make a bomb. They don't come after you at all. So you can say whatever you want to say on 4chan. Mm-hmm. So if that being the case, why not build your own other 4chan? I'm like, I'm sure I saw a right-winging nerd. Now he could have been lying on his social media profile, but I saw a right-winging nerd today. He said he was a software developer, but he supports 45 and he's part MAGA and everything. I was like, okay, well, cool, get him. If he's a software developer, get him. Come over there and help build out your crap.
Yeah. And I guess like you were saying, that's what he's doing. True Social. All right, that's your solution. Okay,
yeah,
whatever you want.
Yeah. So that's my thing when it comes to people and hate speech. I don't care about your hate speech.
Yeah.
And I really want you to say it because that means I know who you are and how to operate around you.
Right.
I hated it much more back in the day, especially with my first introduction into corporate America in 1999. You had so much of it going on, but it was held behind closed doors. So I didn't know who was racist versus who was not racist, and then I could make assumptions based upon how they moved in the corporate workspace and how they treated particular employees. But it's an assumption. Mm-hmm. Now, you just coming out saying it. I'm like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting you for it. Like the people that punch people. Now you can't get in my face talking about it. But if somebody's calling me the N-word or whatever, I'm not hitting you. I've talked to them. I'm not punching you over that. Now if you're in my face. And I feel like your airs and it's getting hot in my face, and I can smell what you just ate. You pretty much getting laid out. I'm punching you in the throat first of all.
And I would say, I'm fine with all those things, and you have to give them the choice.
Yeah.
The one thing too is whether it be John Gruden or Gina Carano, that's the Mandalorian girl, there are consequences.
Absolutely.
So you said this stupid stuff on Twitter and you got fired. Yeah, tough rocks.
Yeah.
Like that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine with that. And that's really what's all we're talking about now.
Yes.
That's all there is. Like the worst of things that have happened, like the cancel culture, whatever it is, and that we're running out of time. It was just that, hey, you got fired because you said something stupid. Yeah. That's
And why do you expect your employer to keep you employed if you have those feelings? Because that means you operate in a hostile work environment because those very people you're talking about, you work alongside. So it's like, so if you feel that way now in your public life and you've made it known, like now something you need to shut the hell up and keep behind your closed doors. But okay, you want to publicize that. Well, then now I know who you are. No, I don't want you coming back to my job. Because now the other coworkers that's there, now they feel a certain kind of way because they know who you are too and how you feel towards them.
Fireable offense.
Yeah.
Just like weird entitlement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they got mad at companies because it was going through looking, I don't agree with this, looking at people's social media profiles.
Right.
And if you had something on there they didn't necessarily agree with, they wouldn't necessarily hire you in for the job. And you don't have to be doing nothing terrible. You could just be out partying. Oh, well, we figure you're going to come into the office drunk or you're going to make the company look bad by your actions in your personal life. I don't agree with that.
I have a friend of mine that actually got passed over promotion specific for that.
And to me, that's invasive. You're being really intrusive into my personal life. Because now you're telling me that I have to operate a certain way in my own personal life in order to be employed here in this company.
And my buddy, he wrote the policy. Like he was like VP, and I'm not gonna say what organization where he was from. I don't want to trace back from him, but he actually wrote the policy for social media and Twitter and what the terms and conditions, what you're allowed to do, what you can't, and so he was able. He couldn't be fired for it, but he was told because of the content that you actually posted, you're now being passed over for promotion.
Yeah.
So like there are consequences like that.
And they are. Yeah, we get ready to wind down, and they are. But I'm like, I think certain things you should get fired for. Yeah. And then certain things, like if you're out partying, I don't think you should get terminated because you're out partying, or you shouldn't get pushed up for a promotion because every other night you having drinks and stuff,
but
and you
get lit. Torch in Charlottesville? Yeah, you can.
Yes, yeah. Now if you are walking around with a tiki torch talking about some blood and soil, no, I do not want you. Yes, at my company. Yeah. Or if you at a school board meeting and you start talking about preaching about CRT and talking about these blacks want to do this, yes, you got to go. You can't come because I'm afraid one of these blacks that you're talking about gonna fight you when you come back into the office. Like, no, I don't want that person working with me. So yeah, we're gonna wind down. That was an interesting conversation for today. But I'm starting with you, Miller, because you didn't get to talk much last week. So final thoughts.
No, interesting place our country's going to right now. It sort of feels like just stuff is like kind of burning and crashing a little bit, but it's all just like people in power. So I think just those who are working their way up to it. If you're getting older, young people especially my age, let's not burn the world. I would like to live somewhere in 10 years and not be on the doomsday clock of New York. So let's just fix it.
I don't know because you got both volcanoes erupting down in Hawaii, so they might trigger a reaction.
I think the one good thing, Florida, the whole state of Florida will be underwater.
Yes. But that's science. We don't believe in science.
That's the issue with
yeah, so that's good. That's good call. I just say, just keep thinking, accept reality and just learn from it. It's not your fault, not my fault. Just accept it and just unlearn from it.
Right, and I mean, my thing is my final thought. I mean, everybody practices slavery. Of course.
World Cup.
Whew.
That'll be next week.
Yeah. 9,500 people, man. Was it 95 or was it 6,500?
Oh man.
I think it was 6,500. Yeah. If that's been documented, dead, pisses me off. But that's not the only place because Dubai did it too. But anyway, yes, yep. Yeah. Thank y'all for tuning in. Yeah, John trying to get me going again. Thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of Keeping It Real Politically. Yeah, make sure to check out, PTG TV, the podcast that we have going on. So this episode will be republished on there. Make sure you sign up for, I'm getting a Patreon started because I do want to start collect some advertising dollars off of this. Make sure you go and check out Melo's platform. Melo is an artist. He does have a Patreon set up. He publishes on manga.
Patreon.com/MeloTheArtist.
Yes, and outside of him being my kid, he is a great artist. And I have to shout out greatness. That's why I was asked John if he got something going on to shout his stuff out too, because I'm glad John continues to come back to the show. But yeah, make sure you go and check out Melo. Melo does take commissions. Again, you will see the great work that he does. If you've seen some of my pictures I post on my Instagram, I actually have some of his stuff mounted up to my wall. So, and that is because he is my kid, because I have to, support my kids. But yes, make sure y'all tune in again next week for Keeping It Real Politically, Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And we probably will be talking about Iran, not Iran, Iran next week.
Or Qatar.
And in Qatar and Dubai, and this beef we have going on. And then probably talk about, watch out for the volcanoes that just erupted out in Hawaii. So, yes.
Stay safe.
Yeah, it hadn't got bad yet, but just keep them power in your thoughts and prayers. And if you don't believe in those things, just send positive energy to the natives that's there to make sure they stay safe and they have a home to go to, and that Hawaii is not taken off the map. So love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I will see y'all next week. And also, I do have engineering. I need to shout out my own stuff. I do have engineering tomorrow. So if you are looking to do any form of content creation, or if you're looking to have ads created for you, like in video production or audio engineering, I do have a service for that. You can find it on my Instagram page or on PTGTV. .online. My price list is up there. I do have a business in doing that. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, like you want to get on radio, or you want to get your own podcast going, I have the tools and the equipment necessary to do that for you. So hit me up if you want it done. I do good work. I shout myself out. I know I do very good work. Or if you need some consulting in doing it, because I am a nerd on top of it too. I've been an engineer for over 20-something years, so I do have knowledge necessary on doing anything, getting all set up for our engineering, your networking, and for service stuff that you want to have a data center set up in your own house. So, see y'all next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Love you all. Hope y'all had a good holiday. Peace out.
Peace.